understand this chart.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
So let's start with chapter 12, Shristi.
Correct.
Introduction to Vedanta, chapter 12, Shristi.
Hmm.
So far, we have learned the following Vedantic terms: sadhana, Chatushtha.
Which is the qualifications, the adhikaritvam, you know.
Right. Yeah. Sadhana, Chatushyam, Sharira Trayam, Kosha, Panchakam, and Atma. Next, we enter into an analysis of the universe. As a part of this, let us discuss the topic of creation. What is creation? How did it happen? Before the world came into existence, two entities were existent. The first one is consciousness, because it is eternal and all-pervading. In this context, the consciousness gets a new name, Brahman. Brahman means infinite or limitless. The two names Brahman and Atma are generally given upon the context of discussion. When the individual is discussed, consciousness is given the name Atma. In other words, from the microcosmic Vyasti standpoint, consciousness is called Atma. The same consciousness is called Brahman when we discuss the universe, that is, from the macrocosmic Samasti standpoint. Depending upon the context, the same place gets different names. When I am abroad, I say my native place is India. In India, I say it is Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, I say my native place is Tiruvannamala. Yeah. Similarly,
Tirunelveli. I was getting confused. Tiruvannamala is where Ramana Maharishi lived. Tirunelveli is down south. Where that
this is
movie
Tirunelveli.
The Tirunelveli is where that Roja was shot, no?
Yeah, Tirunelveli. Yeah. Similarly, the name of consciousness changes when the standpoint changes. Before creation, the inert universe did exist in seed form or potential form. As matter can never be created or destroyed, it will always exist in some form or the other. The desk existed in plank form. Earlier, it existed in tree form. The tree itself existed in seed form before that. Nothing is newly created. Creation, in other words, is bringing out to manifestation what is potentially existent. The entire cosmos was existing before in an invisible, dormant, nirvikalpa form. This potential state of existence in the universe is known as Karana Avastha, the causal state of the universe. This Karana Avastha is a second entity which existed before creation. Do you want to explain this, or is it okay?
No, I don't have that sentence. It goes into saying this Karnavastha can be subdivided into two. Do you have that?
Yes, it is the next page. This Karan Avastha can be subdivided into two. One is the Karan Shariram, which is potential form of Sthula Shariram and Suksha Shariram.
This is the microcosm, you know, individual level. Prapancha means creation, which is the world. So that's what, you know, like causal body, causal universe. That's what they mean. Karna Shariram is the causal body, the seed. And Karna Prapancha is the causal universe. Everything is either manifest or unmanifest. Nothing gets destroyed. It just changes form, manifest to unmanifest to manifest to unmanifest. That's what they.
The second is the Karan Prapancha, which is a potential form of the entire world of experience. So Karan Avastha is made up of Karan Shariram, which is the causal body, and Karan Prapancha, which is the causal universe. Now, Karan Shariram is known as Avidya also. Similarly, Karan Prapancha, the causal universe, is known by another name, Maya. Maya and Avidya put together form the causal state or
Avyaktam.
Before the creation, Brahman and Avyaktam alone existed. Both are beginningless. They're not created. However, Brahman is a changeless consciousness principle, but Avyaktam is a changing matter principle. Of these two principles, the inert Avyaktam principle evolves to become the body and the universe. This evolution is a gradual process. Just as the seed becomes a sprout, in a similar manner, the causal state gradually evolves into a subtle state, consisting of the 5 subtle elements called space, air, fire, water, and earth. These subtle elements are the invisible 5 elements from which alone we have got the subtle body and the subtle universe. This is the firstborn. Later, this subtle state evolves further into a gross state consisting of 5 gross elements which are all visible. These produce the gross body and the gross universe. Any reflections?
You know, something, it's a bit of an aside note. So the elements, when they exist in subtle form, they're called tanmatras. Okay, they're not even visible. Then there is a process of how matter comes into being. This you learn much later. So everything is in potential form. Elements can't be seen, they're in subtle form. Then there is something called the panchikarna, which is the process of grossification. And that is when the elements start to appear. What panchikarna is, like, for example, space will be half space, and quarter, the other half is divided into 4 quarters, which are the other elements.
Okay.
Similarly, air, vayu or agni, everything. And the first element to appear is space. So space is, I would say, the first. Okay, so then the next element that comes is a vayu, which is the first element you cannot see, but you can feel and you can hear. Third element is fire, which you can see, you can feel, and you can hear the roar of a fire. So it's the first visible element is fire. Then the fourth element is water, where you get taste also. You can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it, you can taste it. And the fifth element is earth, which you can smell. So that's how the elements come into being. And after gross, so when they're in subtle form, that is what they talk about karna prapancha. When this process of evolution of the universe happens, then the elements slowly get grossified. That is when matter starts developing. So that is what they're talking about.
Beautiful.
Also, I wanted to tell you something else. I was just looking for that on my phone.
Yeah.
You know, there are 5 famous temples where only the elements are worshipped.
Wow.
So Chikambram is for space. So when they go to the Garbhagraham, when they open the inner sanctum, they remove the curtain. There's no deity there. It's empty space.
Wow.
Looking for and then I know Kalahasti is for water. Tiruvannamalai is for fire. Then there's one called Jambukeshwar and Ekambeshwar or something. But so they are for the other 2 elements. There are 5 famous elements in temples in the south where only the elements are worshipped.
I think I should make a trip for these 5 element temples.
I'll send you some details which were there on our chat, you know, about these. And they're all Shiva temples. That's the interesting thing. Our teacher quizzed us. Of course, thanks to Wikipedia, we all knew the answer because I had been to all the temples. But very interesting.
So everything is Shiva if you see.
Yes, because creation comes out. He's, you know, I don't know. Even if you go to Uttarakhand side, every temple is a Shiva temple there.
So you don't worship Brahma and Vishnuji as much as Shiva is everything. He has done the entire thing. Brahmaji's conceived
because the cosmic dance which we see, the physical universe is what they call his Tandav Nritya, whatever. You know, that is what creates, which is where the material world comes into being, which is why Shiva gets worshipped more.
That's why they say, now when the enlightened masters, they become Param Shiva, they become one with him. Because that is what, and Shiva represents both the Nar and the Nari, right? The Shiva Shakti.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how everything is originating. So thank you for this beautiful addition. I need to really work on this 5 elements.
I'll send you the details about these temples, right?
Yes, lovely. Moving further, original consciousness and reflected consciousness. We have already seen that the 3 bodies, that is a causal body, the subtle body, and the gross body, are made up of matter, and that all these are termed as anatma. However, Even though the body is matter by nature, it enjoys consciousness because it is blessed by the consciousness principle. Consciousness pervades all of them and enlightens them and makes them conscious or sentient. The bodies, in fact, are functioning like a mirror. A mirror does not have any light of its own. If the mirror is kept under sunlight, the sunlight is reflected on the mirror and the mirror becomes bright. When the mirror enjoys reflected light, it can illumine
other things.
Illumine other things, also not by its original light, but by its borrowed light. Thus, the non-luminescent sometimes becomes luminous. Similarly, the insentient becomes sentient because of the reflected consciousness.
See, it's very, very simple. What is death? Death is the withdrawing of consciousness. The whole body is there, everything is there, but you're dead because consciousness has gone.
Yeah, the Atma is gone, the consciousness is gone.
See, the subtle body which is the reflecting medium, not the physical body. That subtle body detaches and consciousness goes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
True. Thus, each body has a reflected consciousness, making it sentient. Since there are three bodies, we have three reflections. It is a reflection of all pervading consciousness that makes my body sentient. Similarly, the consciousness principle enlivens the universe also, because of which alone the cosmos is functioning in an orderly manner. In fact, the universe is like the cosmic body of the Lord. Just as the organs function in an orderly manner, being blessed by the consciousness, the universe functions in harmony. It functions like a huge organism. If we disturb the harmony of the world, it retaliates like a huge organism. All this shows that the universe is not a chaotic mass of inert matter. Being pervaded by a conscious principle, it functions intelligently. Just as there are three bodies, there are three universes with the causal universe, the subtle universe, and the gross universe. All the three are blessed by consciousness. Hence, we have three reflections of consciousness at the universal level. See the chart in page number 94.
We're here for page 73. No. We'll come to that later. Let's finish.
Yeah, so just as this, the chart is here, Brahman, the original consciousness, the causal body, causal world, reflected consciousness. So there's Prajna, Taijasa, Vishwa.
So now what happens is, it's just different names given for the jiva. So at the gross level, he's known as Vishwa. At the subtle body, it's called Tejasa. Why? Because Tejas means light, right? The mind is in the subtle body, and when the sentiency comes, there only is everything. Are you alive to everything? So that's called Tejas. And Prajna is at the causal body level. Similarly, they use these three names for the prapancha, for the universe. The gross world is called Virat. The subtle world is Hiranyagarbha, which is a total the total mass or the amalgam of all orders that pervade in the universe. Because what we say is, what are devas? They're all different orders through which the universe functions.
Right.
Order of seasons, order of planets, order of whatever, So that is Hiranyagarbha, the sum total of what we call devas. And then at the causal world level, the word used is Antaryami. These are just words and names to remember, that's all,
Very nice. Sorry about that. So now let's understand what is Vishwa, Tejasa, and Prajna. It's Prajna or Prajna?
Prajna. But you haven't got this page, this reflected sunlight may be called Pratibimba Surya?
No.
Just go back to chart at page 73. Where is it? Okay. Okay, just go next page. Okay, now I'll just read out a little bit of what is there in my book. I think these books have been edited at some point. So, okay, sorry, carry on. I'm making a mistake. Carry on.
All right. So Vishwa, Tejasa, and Pragnya. We have one original consciousness blessing the three bodies at the microcosmic level. RC1 is the reflected
consciousness, yeah.
Reflected consciousness, which is blessing the causal body, and it is known as the name Pragnya. The same consciousness blessing the subtle body is also called Tejasya, which is RC2. The consciousness
is not different. It's the same consciousness. It's just different names being given at different stages. That's what it is. So you don't have to think there are three consciousnesses. It's that one original consciousness being reflected. But at that level, it is called Prajna. At the level of the subtle, at causal, it's Prajna. At subtle, it's called Tejasa. And at gross, which is the physical form, it's called Vishwa.
So Prajna is also the name of Ganpati ji for a beginning.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, reflected consciousness is blessing the causal body.
No. Causal body is there with the Prajna. Okay, that's what you're saying. Tejasa is right. Yeah. So the minute sentiency comes into the subtle body, then it is Tejasa. Because it's only with consciousness that any kind of knowledge can come. The first knowledge being I.
Tejas bolte na, somebody who's very well educated is Tejas hai. Wahi wala ho gaya.
The mind is there, no? So all knowledge will be there in the subtle body.
And the consciousness becomes manifest in the gross body and enlivened. It's called Vishwa. Yeah, Vishwa. That's when you become the universe. You become Vishwa. Then it's you're out there.
You're physical. You're physical.
Yeah. Thus, Vishwa, Tejas, and Prajna are the names of the reflected consciousness at the microcosmic level. Every individual is a mixture of Vishwa, Tejasa, and Prajna, which are inseparable. These three put together is called Jiva. Very nice. Now, Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Antaryami. Similarly, at the macrocosmic level, the reflected consciousness, which is RC4, behind the causal universe is called Antaryami. The subtle universe is blessed by Hiranyagarbha and Virat, which enliven the gross universe. Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Antaryami are inseparable, and the three as a whole is called Ishvara. In short, Jiva and Ishvara are the reflections of one consciousness obtaining in the microcosmic medium and the macrocosmic medium respectively. That is Shristi as given as the scriptures. While the scientists continue to study and offer many theories about the origin of the work, Vedanta's views of the cosmos is complete.
So that's Shristi. So this is just for understanding. It's not, just to know what the model is that the Shastra talks about. What is the most important thing the Shastra is trying to get to you is actually Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, which is that you need to understand that
I'm the universe, I'm the consciousness.
You are that same consciousness. You are just not a temporary role as a body for these 80 years, 70 years, 90 years, whatever it may be. But you will exist. You existed before, you will continue to exist. So I just wanted to tell you, worship of the 5 elements, okay? Akasha space is worshipped in the Chidambaram Nataraja temple where
I think we lost Dimple's connection. Dimple, your connection broke. We couldn't hear. Can't hear you at all. It's just broken. Vishwa, Tejasya, and Prajna. Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Antaryami. One is microcosmic, one is macrocosmic. Reflected consciousness blessing the causal body is known as Prajna. Subtle bodies called tejas. Yeah. Wonderful. Pratima ji, you're with us on this page. Got it right now? Yeah. I think Dimple lost her connection, so I'll wait for a couple of minutes for her to join back. Very interesting study. We can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, it's so interesting, once you go into the depth, you realize, how these words are coming from one to another.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Thanks to Dimple, we are finding this.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks to everyone. Each one is contributing whatever best they can.
Yeah, lovely. So Dimples, do we have you back?
Yeah.
Your internet is still broken. Can't hear you at all.
Yeah.
And even your camera is switched off, I think. Otherwise, we'll reflect on this book. I mean, if there's something more about this particular chapter, of course, next week we'll study further. Yeah, we've lost her again. She's got a bad internet problem.
I think she has net issue every time.
This time is more, not every time. This time her voice cracked also.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think Chennai is going through big time problems, no floods and problems and water clogging. But yeah, this is an interesting chapter. Very interesting. Shristi. Nice.
So you didn't have class last week, no? Diwali day you didn't have.
We didn't have, no.
Yeah, so then this is where she's trying to connect.
What I'll do is
now you're perfect.
Yeah. Shall I post to the group what the 5 temples are and how the elements are worshipped?
That'll be lovely. Yeah, all of us can, so, and I think I'm going to plan a trip to see the 5 elements and the temples. It'll be nice.
Yeah. Prachi, you never know, I'll join you.
Good. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about today. This is what
not at all.
Really having a problem over here with the.
No, but you have so much of water clogging. This is kind of understandable. Yeah. So it's perfectly fine. But yeah, short chapter, interesting chapter, something for us to think about and get geared up for next week's session.
Yeah.
Any notes you have, please feel free to share in the group. Would be happy to.
Yeah, but funny thing is, for me, this chart was in the Jiva Ishwara Aikam chapter. Mine is an older book, I think.
Okay, yeah, could be.
That's why I was. Anyway. Chalo, thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's see each other on next Thursday.
Yes.
And we'll take.
And I'm sending you these details so you'll get to read about them. It's quite interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.